This is Hannibal from the Hannibal TV.com with my weekly review of the Wrestling Observer. Al says, did I watch The Dark Side of the Ring on The Warrior? I've heard they did a hatchet job on him. But let me get into the news. It's not fan question time. But I will watch it because everyone's wanting me to do a review of it since I did the A&E Warrior review. I watched it on Daily Motion. I will watch the Dark Side of the Ring one and do a review. But you guys are watching this to get my Wrestling Observer review, and there's a lot of news this week, so I'll get into it. WWE and New Japan are apparently in talks about WWE becoming New Japan's exclusive North American partner. New Japan, I can tell you, is not very popular these days. My YouTube channel generally gets 3 to 4 times the amount of views in a month that New Japan gets. So I don't blame them for possibly wanting to hook up with WWE. Of course, there was a lot of releases this week from WWE, including lead Raw announcer Adnan Virk, who I'd never heard of. I can't really comment on. He was let go just over a month after he was fired, and there was heavy cuts of people in the office, as well as Tom Phillips was also cut from the WWE family after 10 years of service, despite the company making more revenue than ever. They are a business, not a family. If you buy into that they're a family, you're a mark. WWE, of course, starts their return of live shows in front of fans in Houston on July 16th. And they're going to do 25 cities through Labor Day. So it's nice to see, even though Ontario, Canada here is still on full lockdown, things are opening up in the U.S. There are some indications that ticket sales are going all right. Houston is going to be set up for 12,600 seats. The floor in Houston is already sold out. Most of the lower deck is sold, but there's a lot of upper deck tickets left. Now, keep in mind, the UFC sold out this same arena, 17,000 tickets in a day. And the WWE is only going to have it set up for 12,600. And UFC set the gate record for Houston, 4.1 million. Money in the Bank is going to be in Fort Worth, Texas. They're going to be set up for about 10,000 tickets, and right now there's only 700 tickets remaining for Money in the Bank in Fort Worth. Of course, Dallas, where I was hanging out the past 3 months or so, is they could have a capacity of up to 14,000, but according to Meltzer, it's only going to be set up for about 9,000. And as of right now, there's about 6,500 tickets sold for this Raw in Dallas in July. And Meltzer also notes that, of course, these aren't immediate sellouts, but prior to the lockdown, WWE was having ticket sale issues, of course, because their product is stale. And that's me saying that because I've tried to watch it, and I can tell you it's more stale now than it was before the lockdown. Apparently, it hasn't been confirmed, but it looks like Las Vegas, the new stadium there, is going to hold SummerSlam on August 21st, which is a Saturday. The leading rumor is it's going to be Roman Reigns against John Cena, who gave an apology to China in Mandarin this week, a public apology for calling Taiwan a company. They skin and boil dogs alive in China because it makes them taste better, apparently, if they go through suffering before they die. They really don't have a lot of sanitary practices at their meat markets. COVID came from China. Nice to know John Cena is such a great supporter of it. I will not go there. My dog here is my best buddy in the whole world, and I would never support a place that is so cruel to animals as they are there. Other news, WWE had a tryout last week, I guess, either this week or last week, which was full of wrestlers who had worked for AEW Dark as enhancement talent. NXT only did a 0.13 rating this week. AEW did a 0.28. Raw did its second lowest 18 to 49 rating of all time, 0.45. SmackDown did a 0.5. In AEW news, Shaquille O'Neal said on Inside the NBA this week that he is going to wrestle again this summer. Marcus Bagwell, a.k.a. Buff Bagwell, who's now 51, was arrested May 22nd, as I've already reported, for about 15 or more charges, including driving under the influence, giving false names, refusing to give the right address and birthday to law enforcement officers, speeding, failing to yield while entering an intersection, multiple hit and runs, following too closely, reckless driving, driving within a median or emergency lane, driving on the wrong side of the highway with an open container. The police report stated Bagwell was driving his 2007 Saab and hit another car from behind at 12:32 p.m. So this all happened fairly early in the day. He left the scene and continued to drive. The driver that he hit followed him for 2 miles until he was able to get Bagwell to stop. Police arrived. Bagwell said he was unable to stop his car due to battery issues, was his excuse. He was then found with outstanding warrants from an August arrest last year, August 16th, when he crashed his car and was hospitalized after he totaled his vehicle, and he had hit and run charges stemming from that. Speeding, driving within a median, driving on the wrong side of the road, reckless driving, and a DUI. In that case, apparently he lost control going around a curve, struck a median, metal fence, driving towards oncoming traffic. And for the assholes out there that I've blocked for saying, Hannibal, why are you laughing? What can you do but laugh at an idiot like this who's been doing this for years over and over and over again? And he is very, very lucky he hasn't killed anybody yet. Extremely lucky. It's a miracle he hasn't killed anyone. I have no pity for him. I think he's a total loser. Deepak Masand, former wrestler from Quebec and also a manager, died this week at the age of 78. He was born in Pakistan, moved to Montreal in 1967, wrestled for Grand Prix Wrestling, Stampede, and All-Star Wrestling as a Sheik character in the 60s and 70s. And in the 80s, he was a manager of Abdullah the Butcher, Deepak Singh. And I'll tell you guys a little piece of trivia regarding this guy. And I'll actually put the links in the description, and I'll pin them to the top of the comments after I'm done this. The last match he ever managed was Abdullah the Butcher's Montreal retirement match, where I pinned Abdullah the Butcher 1, 2, 3 in the middle of the ring. He was put in a wheelchair after that. I beat the crap out of him so bad. And this manager, who's now dead, was never seen in wrestling again. Now, how is Abdullah outliving all of his managers? This honest John Cheatham, who was a total piece of crap, complete piece of crap, also died a few years ago. Abdullah is still alive, suffering from health issues, and he's currently involved in a fraudulent conveyance lawsuit with me relating to illegally transferring properties he owned and also selling them when I had a judgment against them. You can't sell off your properties when someone has a judgment against them. So Abdullah is a true slimeball piece of shit. Anyone that claims to be my friend and thinks otherwise, I don't want you as a friend. Tony Marino, former bodybuilder who became an international star in the 60s and 70s, passed away today at the age of 90. In Mexico wrestling news, wrestling returned with fans at Arena Mexico May 21st. It was an instant sellout, 500 tickets sold out immediately. And I'll show the video again. I have it already loaded on. Oh, actually, I don't, so I won't show it. But I posted a video in my news update yesterday of an incident where a Mexican wrestler severely beat a kid, smashed his face into the pavement twice. This wrestler's name is El Vikingo. He was arrested for this incident where he hurt the small child, but has since been released. In UFC news, George St. Pierre, who has said he's retired a million times, is now saying he called Dana White 2 weeks ago and said he would fight Khabib at 165 pounds. Of course, St. Pierre still has fights left on his UFC contract. But Khabib said his door was shut. He's claiming he's retired. His manager said that Khabib was offered $100 million to fight Floyd Mayweather, and he also turned it down. Meltzer points out that that story is true, but it was a while ago, and that was a Saudi Arabia deal, and it was a lot of money, but since Khabib's strong point is not boxing, he wouldn't have had a chance in that fight. So the GSP fight is more what he's been doing all these years. To be honest, though, I follow obviously the gates and the pay-per-view numbers. Khabib is not a big box office draw. Now, of course, GSP returning would, and that match would be, and there's very few megastars in UFC right now. With John Jones is quite possible. Well, actually, McGregor is the biggest star MMA has. John Jones is the second biggest. But right now, John Jones is not fighting. He's still in contract disputes, which is what my understanding is. Chris loved my interview with the Queen of Extreme, Francine. Mike said, Piper, my dog's Piper, who's on my lap right now, her outfit is cute. It's freezing cold here in Ottawa, Canada today. Invisible, is she named after Roddy Piper? Yes. And for anyone that didn't see or doesn't know, Roddy Piper's daughter, Teal, is actually the godmother of my dog. So there you go. Midian interview. There is an interview with Midian on this channel that David Penzer did at a WrestleMania for me years ago. Would I interview him? Yes. I don't think I'm by the way, Dave Sullivan I'm interviewing tonight. And tomorrow I'm interviewing a former WWE writer as well as the Goon, Wild Bill Irwin. Mista says New Japan is currently with Ring of Honor and a bunch of other promotions. Well, Ring of Honor is a completely dead brand right now. It has no buzz. So, of course, they'll be looking to team up with a company like WWE. They've also done stuff with AEW recently, but they'll probably team up with wherever they can get the best deal. Colonel Quayle believes that would bomb out. The Centennial does not like Cena. Geraldo says WWE stands for world's worst entertainment. Well, according to what Stephanie McMahon says, they are the best storytellers in the whole world. That's why they're getting the second lowest Raw ratings of all time right now. John China apologized to Cena. Someone's making a joke. Ghost Rider would never apologize. John Brown says WWE is boring, needs a new direction. It's only going to get more corporate. As I've said a million times, they're an extremely corporate company. Ralph says Buff needs to go to rehab. I know WWE picked up his WCW contract, I believe, for like a very, very short period of time before they fired him. I don't know if it was enough time to qualify him for the free rehab that they get, but who knows? A lot. As DDP said in the interview he did with me, he doesn't think Buff wants to help himself yet. And then there's like lifelong fuck-ups like Just Incredible, who have done the rehab a bunch of times and still are complete losers to this day, as I witnessed firsthand with Credible last February. Ben says Buff needs help. Chris, any UFO updates? I did a UFO update earlier this morning. The Pentagon has confirmed that some leaked footage from the Navy of actual UFO radar data of a swarm of UFOs, about 14 UFOs surrounding I believe it was the USS Omaha, which we've already, the footage of the outside of the ship was already released, but now they actually have released the radar data of these craft that were surrounding the ship. And this is the first UFO radar data ever released to the public, and the Pentagon has confirmed it's real. There's going to be a report next month, and we're already almost in June, from the Unidentified Aerial Phenomena United States Government's Task Force to the Senate Intelligence Committee next month. So I'm sure a lot more information is going to be leaked out. Chris says I'm fantastic. Thank you. Matt R is making a joke related to the shoot interview that Buff Bagwell did with me, which, by the way, he also seemed fucked up in that shoot interview. And at least he wasn't driving. But there were some people that said, well, Hannibal, Buff clearly is fucked up. Why did you still do the interview? Well, for one thing, he didn't have online payments for some reason. God only knows. Maybe his bank accounts are frozen. Who the hell knows? So I actually had to wire him money the old-fashioned way, which was a real pain in the ass going to a money mart to do. Then he no-showed his first interview time with me, and then when he finally showed up, he was about 20 minutes late, a couple days later when he did his second interview with me. So I'm sure as hell going to get my money's worth when I actually have him in front of me. I'm not going to get him in front of me and say, wait a minute, Buff, you're too fucked up. Let's do this again. It's already been a real pain in the ass just to get you on camera. No, sorry. I'm a business. And this is my job. I like my job, but sometimes you run into people like that. Now, as fucked up as he was, I still found it entertaining. Dave thinks Francine looks better now than before. Chris talking about the trolls in my feed. I completely ignore trolls. And if they're too rude, I just block them and never think about them again. They don't bother me. I've been a heel all my career. Actually, I was a babyface for about 3 years, and I was a damn good babyface, to be perfectly honest with you. But I'm better off as a heel. McEvoy Productions says hello from Ireland. I did an Ireland podcast recently, and they are going to let me post it on this channel. Everyone always asks me this. I don't have a favorite, but I did answer that in that podcast interview, my favorite from each domain. So watch that Irish podcast interview I put out if you want to know my favorite shoot interviews. I'll put it out later today. Alan says the Buff interview I put out was entertaining. Raka says WWE will never go back to the way it was. It's no longer a family business. As I said in my report yesterday, the only family members in WWE are the McMahon family themselves and Triple H, who married into the family. He's the ultimate politician. So if there's more news later today, I'll give it. Otherwise, I got my Dave Sullivan interview later tonight. I wish everyone a good weekend. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at the Hannibal TV. All of my live streams now also stream on Facebook. So and there's no ads on Facebook for live streams. So go to the Hannibal TV on Facebook and do that. Jason, as a fan of mine and a recovering addict, you have to want help. And we all have our issues. My God, we all have our issues. I'm not saying I don't have issues, and I'm not saying I've been arrested many times actually, but lucky for me, it hasn't been for anything too serious. And overall, I've kept my life together, and I never made anywhere near the money that Bagwell made in his career. I probably will, though, in my life, because I'm making more and more money every year. I'm doing pretty well for myself these days. But, I try and keep my issues under control as well. And yes, I did say Evad Sullivan. Check it out tonight, guys. Have a great weekend.
Thank you for watching the Hannibal TV. Please like this video if you enjoyed it, and click the subscribe button to not miss any of our latest shoot interviews, match videos, or news updates. Support us on patreon.com for $1.99 a month to watch our